Tough loss in this one, Chiefs Kingdom. Kansas City falls 28-21 to the Buffalo Bills on the road, their fourth loss of the 2025 NFL season. My name's Jackson Durham. You're watching the Chiefs Report by Chat Sports, and we always appreciate you spending your time with us. And today we're going to be talking a few reasons why I think Kansas City lost this game. But before we get into that, we're going to talk some injury updates coming out of this one immediately. More injuries than we've had coming out of a game consistently this season, or at least there were injuries that occurred in the game more often than we've had this season. Travis Kelce exited due to concussion protocol, which he quickly cleared. If you were wondering why he left the game and missed that on the broadcast, that was why. Doesn't seem like there's anything to worry about from that one, though. Kingsley also left briefly. Didn't actually hear a description of what the injury was there. I think it might have been an ankle or some sort of lower foot related issue. He seemed to hobble his way off the field, but he only missed a couple plays before coming back. And once again, Andy Reid did clarify there's only one injury to actually worry about coming out of this thing. That's Jawaan Taylor. He's dealing with an ankle injury coming out. He didn't get specific details on what that ankle injury is, but that's a massive concern, guys. Offensive line depth has been a little bit shaky throughout the season. We definitely saw that last week when Trey Smith had to miss the game, and we just were not the same group against the Washington Commanders. And it sort of had the same feeling today against Buffalo, but even worse. Our offensive line just really struggled. Trey Smith did not feel like he was at 100%, in my opinion. Creed Humphrey, really maybe the only offensive lineman on that group that was at 100% today, especially after Kingsley went down. But Josh Simmons still missing time due to the personal issue. That's affecting the offensive line. This left tackle that's currently out. And it feels like Jalen Moore's play has progressively declined over the last couple weeks. I know we gave him a ton of props when he first came in against the Detroit Lions, and rightfully so. He was awesome against Aiden Hutchinson. But week over week, and he's been dealing with injuries himself, he was not that same guy last week against Washington, and he really struggled today against Joey Bosa, probably his worst outing of the season. Bosa just worked him again and again. Consistent pressure from Bosa against Patrick Mahomes. That was a huge part of the reason why we struggled today. That's kind of number one on my list. The offensive line just not good enough, and it's understandable why. Like we've talked about, the injuries piled up for this unit. Kingsley got hurt in the third quarter, like we talked about earlier. Trey Smith already not 100%. He was questionable coming into this week, limited in practice, dealing with the back spasms that caused him to miss caused him to come out of week 7 against the Commanders and miss week 8, or week 7 against the Raiders and come out of miss week 8 against the Commanders. Geez, I'm all over the place on this one. He came out of week 7 against the Raiders and missed week 8 against the Commanders. Bang. There we go. That's what it is. But all of that to say, the offensive line is very injured across the board, and they're not playing well. Jawaan Taylor, when he left, Wanya Morris came in, and he wasn't good either. And if he can't come back next week, that's extremely concerning. We still don't know exactly what the time, or obviously we're on a bye next week, but 2 weeks from down, what's the offensive line going to look like? Is Josh Simmons getting back after the bye? That's still the hope at this point, but we haven't gotten 100% confirmation that that's going to be the case. And now we have a concerning injury for Jawaan Taylor, and hopefully Trey Smith can use the bye week to get back to 100%. Kingsley, same situation. That's my hope here. Is this was just a one-off week from the offensive line where they really struggled, largely due to injuries, but they did get dominated. Joey Bosa had his way with Jalen Moore. Like we talked about earlier, A.J.Epenesa had his way with Jawaan Taylor when he was in, and then really dominated Wanya Morris when he came in later in the game. And ultimately, our offensive line is just going to have to be better. That is why we get the worst performance we've seen from Mahomes all season. One of the worst performances of Mahomes' NFL career, unfortunately. The lowest completion percentage he's had in his NFL career. But did anybody watching that game walk out of it feeling like that was Patrick's fault? Because I absolutely didn't. I don't know any Chiefs fans that did. I feel like Mahomes was fighting for his life behind that offensive line, a run game that wasn't able to get going once again, largely because of the offensive line. It felt like 3 yards in a cloud of dust every time we tried to run to Kareem Hunt, just nothing there. And then he had the arm punt interception. Plays like that are coming because you're constantly under duress. You're trying to play hero ball because you're playing from behind. And that's all, in my opinion, on the offensive line. The offensive line, I hate to pin it all on one position group, but a lot of the issues from the offense in this game do come down to an inability to protect Patrick Mahomes and an inability to establish the run game. And both of those two issues stem from poor performance and injured performance from your offensive line. But you guys know what never has poor performance? Omaha Steaks. Omaha Steaks is the official sponsor of tailgating, something I know very well myself. Had the boys over for OU Tennessee this Saturday. Got a huge win for the Sooners. At least one of my teams can win this weekend. Oklahoma getting it done where Kansas City cannot. But Omaha Steaks was the life of the party outside of the Sooners win. Whether it was mouthwatering steaks, deli-style franks, and so much more, you'll elevate your next game day get-together with America's original butcher. Omaha Steaks' legendary flavor is served in stadiums and homes across the country. And I've got an exclusive deal just for our Chiefs Report viewers. The Kingdom is going to get an extra $35 off with promo code Chiefs at checkout. Guys, get big savings on big flavor this football season and make game day delicious with the official sponsor of tailgating. Visit omahasteaks.com and get $35 off with promo code Chiefs at checkout. That's omahasteaks.com and promo code Chiefs at checkout. Terms do apply. See site for details. Huge shout out to Omaha Steaks for sponsoring today's video and always supporting the channel. We really appreciate them. And if you guys do check them out, make sure you use code Chiefs because that is a huge help for the channel. Getting back into our takeaways, reasons why we lost this game. Number two, in my opinion, has to do with losing in the trenches again, but this time on the defensive end. Offensive line got dominated, but I think the defensive line did as well. And maybe dominated isn't the right word. It was a one-possession game, although I think the score was a little bit misleading about how close this one was. Kind of pulled it back at the end. But the defensive line lost the line of scrimmage, and that wasn't hard to see. 27 carries for 114 for James Cook. That's something we talked about in the preview. Who was going to win that battle in the trenches? Was it going to be our front seven that had not allowed a 100-yard rusher since 2023, had not allowed a 100 total yard game to a team on the ground since all the way back to week 5 against the Jacksonville Jags? And we lost that battle. Unfortunately, the Bills' offensive line came in and they had their way with our defensive front. They were able to establish those rushing lanes for James Cook, 27 carries for him for 114, and they were able to protect Josh Allen. We were unable to get pressure once again in this one. And that's been a consistent theme. I feel like a broken record talking about our inability to get home. And I know we had 3 sacks. I know I'm going to get comments being like, but Jackson, we sacked Josh Allen 3 times in this one. What do you mean we were unable to get after the quarterback? We did get after the quarterback. Sure. But he also went 23 for 26 for 273 and a touchdown. Do you think he was uncomfortable? Do you think our defense made Josh Allen's life challenging in this one from a pass rush perspective? Because I sure don't. Yeah, you can have 3 sacks, but when you consistently give up 3 to 4 seconds to throw to an opposing quarterback, you're asking far too much of your secondary. And guys, I know I pick on them a lot. Our secondary is not exactly loaded with superstars to begin with. We have Trent McDuffie and a bunch of guys who are, unfortunately, at the end of the day, you could upgrade over a lot of these guys. Brian Cook, Shamari Connor. These aren't superstars. You cannot ask them to cover for 4 seconds and expect excellent results. And today, the results were anything but excellent. 23 for 26 for 270, almost over 10 yards per attempt. That's not going to get it done. You allow Josh Allen to play at the MVP level that we actually haven't seen at times from him this season. He's been a little bit more inconsistent compared to the MVP self he was last year, and you allowed him to kind of regain that form. Unfortunate. Can't allow him to be that comfortable. I wish I had PFF's numbers on time to throw in front of me, but I'm almost 100% positive he averaged over 3 seconds to throw in the pocket, and that would be a consistent theme for our pass rush this season, consistently allowing quarterbacks to sit back there comfortably and dial up against us, just dissect this defense, way too much time in the pocket. and way too easy on the ground as well for James Cook in this one. He's been great all year long, but again, we could not win that battle in the trenches. And even if we had been able to, we couldn't stop the passing game either way. They could get it done no matter what it came down to at the end of the day. Our just defense has to do a better job. But it's hard to stop the run when you can't stop the pass in a lot of ways. You've allowed this defense to be too versatile on you, and that's what we did today. You cannot fail to get home as consistently as we did. And thirdly, another defensive issue, third reason why we lost this game, you got to be better at covering the middle and covering Dalton Kincaid. The middle of the field was completely uncovered in this one, and Dalton Kincaid just feasted over that section. We actually had not allowed a 100-yard receiver, I think, all season long, and Dalton Kincaid ends up being the first to do that. And it's largely because our linebackers did not do a good enough job in coverage, and our pass rush didn't do a good enough job of affecting Josh Allen. 6 receptions for 100 yards for Dalton Kincaid. I'm going to continue to hit on that point. This probably doesn't happen, even though our linebackers weren't great in coverage, if you're just a little bit faster in the pass rush game. That's ultimately what a lot of the issues on defense come down to, is an inability to rush the passer. It's just like the offensive end. You've got to be able to win up front. Our offensive line needs to be able to win, to create lanes for the run game and to create opportunities downfield for Patrick Mahomes. It's like that stupid ad that you hear all the time. Protection up front, opportunity downfield. We're missing that right now. We're missing protection up front, and therefore we do not have opportunity downfield. And inversely, on the defensive end, we have no pass rush up front, and therefore there's too much opportunity downfield. We've got to inverse these things at the end of the day. And I think that comes with a trade at the deadline. And that's what we're going to be talking about tomorrow in one of my videos. We're going to do some overreaction Monday, but we're going to hit on trade rumors, in my opinion. We're going to continue to pound the table for Kansas City to go after a defensive lineman. I do think we can make 2 moves in this one. I like to get Breece Hall, but I do think we need to go out and get another defensive lineman, an edge, maybe even a 1-year rental of somebody like Jalen Phillips. We're going to talk about a number of different things tomorrow, so make sure you guys subscribe. Make sure you join the kingdom here and lock in with us, because we've got a lot of content on the way. Despite the loss, we're not going anywhere. Let's go Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going to see you guys tomorrow.